The developers for Gotham Knights have released a multitude of news throughout San Diego Comic-Con, but more noticeably released a character trailer for Batgirl. And believe it or not, after watching the Batgirl trailer, I'm actually really excited to play as her more than anybody else. While the character trailer isn't enough to go on, considering it's only 2 minutes long, what we got is more than enough to at least get me heavily interested in her. This is primarily because of two reasons. The first reason is that Batgirl seems like she potentially has the most intriguing sub-storyline in Gotham Knights. I love that her character's motive is protecting people, and that's what drives her, as said in her trailer. Knowing this makes you want to see how she grows as a character and see how her sub-storyline, whatever that ends up being, unfolds, because I want to see how that strengthens her as a hero. Does she break from those motives? Does she hit a breaking point where she almost gives up on helping people? Does that play into a point of conflict later on in the story? Those are the things I want to find out. The second reason though is that Batgirl looks like she's the most fun to play in comparison to her counterparts. Red Hood so far seems clunky, Nightwing seems super basic and a bit slower than I like him to be, and Robin on the other hand looks like a lot of fun considering he has a bunch of gadgets and teleportation tech that allows him to get in and out of fights. Meanwhile, Batgirl actually seems like the most complete character, at least kit-wise. She has nunchucks that seem like a ton of fun to use. She has that cool grappling hook of some sort that allows her to drag enemies to her, and she has super cool acrobatic abilities. And not only that, but she can also glide through the sky like Batman, and she has a bat cycle. I can't emphasize this enough. Batgirl seems insanely cool. However, Batgirl's re-review isn't the only bit of Gotham Knights news. The developers also answered a few questions during their Gotham Knights fan Q&A panel, and they revealed two incredibly interesting things, while DC themselves made a really cool Gotham Knights based announcement on Twitter. The first thing, Batman is dead. Yes, that's right, they're not making the same mistake that Marvel's Avengers did. Batman is dead from the start of the game, and he'll still be dead when the credits roll at the end of the game as well. I won't even lie, this is such a relieving reveal. As I mentioned in my previous Gotham Knights video, I was heavily concerned about Batman's death being an obvious fake out. I didn't think they'd commit to the whole Batman is dead tease that they've been doing, but they are. Here's why this is a good thing. Batman won't steal the spotlight from the Gotham Knights. Whether we like the entire roster of the Gotham Knights or not is an entirely different story, but there isn't going to be a massive cloud over them because of Batman's presence. If Batman was in the game during the present portions of Gotham Knights, almost nobody would care about them. We'd only care about Batman because, you know, he's Batman. Instead, we get to see the Gotham Knights for who they are. We get to see them mature and hopefully grow from this obviously traumatic event in their life, which will likely happen at the very beginning of the game. I just hope that this game is clever enough to use flashbacks to further explain certain aspects of each member of the Gotham Knights, just so we feel a little bit sympathetic towards them, considering Batman's death is going to be a major loss for them. As weird as it is, I don't want to fully understand each of these characters from the get-go. I want there to be some level of complexity when it comes to a character like Red Hood, who, as they stated, died and came back to life thanks to the Lazarus Pit. That way, when we're questioning why someone is being an asshole to another member of the team during a cutscene, they can cleverly flash back to a moment that ties things together and not only make things make sense, but also give said characters some depth. Again, I'm just spitballing here, but I do think Batman remaining dead throughout the entirety of the game can legitimately be used to this game's strength and not be seen as a weakness. The second bit of news is something that I am so incredibly happy about, like I genuinely can't emphasize this enough, but this next bit of news has essentially sealed my excitement for Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights does not have the Joker in it. That's right, the Joker isn't in Gotham Knights, and this is a fantastic thing. Let me tell you why. I, just like a ton of people out there in the world, love the Joker. He's a fantastic antagonist who's ridiculously entertaining entertaining in almost any piece of Batman media that he's in. He's the perfect counterpart to Batman. When it's a Batman v Joker storyline, I'm all in. I'm down to see how much Joker can push Batman and to see how far Joker's willing to push his madness. However, Batman's rogue gallery needs far more attention. Unlike most people, I'm willing to say the truth. Not every Batman or Gotham-centric piece of media needs the Joker in it. We should be willing to accept the fact that other villains can be used to tell stories in Gotham. Not only does it create a sense of variety, but it also allows other villains to get some much deserved love, and it shows a bit of confidence from the storyteller. If Gotham Knights had this entire story where we're sold on the idea that the Court of Owls are the main villains of the game, but then somehow it's revealed that it's been the Joker all along, I would have been so disappointed. I feel like the creative decision is not only whack, but it reinstilled the fact that we're far too dependent on not breaking the mold when it comes to telling stories in Gotham. And we need to begin to break the mold sooner rather than later, because unlike most people, I don't want Joker to get run into the ground to the point where we become bored of such an excellent character. Plus, I want to see other villains grow in popularity because Batman has so many cool members in his rogue gallery. I know it sounds dramatic, but I genuinely applaud the developers of Gotham Knights for making this major decision because they're already fighting one hell of an uphill battle, and this will only add to that battle considering so many people love the Joker. Oh, and Harley Quinn may or may not be in Gotham Knights, but they didn't outright confirm or outright deny this bit of information, so it is what it is, but I digress. As for DC's announcement, they've announced that Gotham Knights is going to have a 6-issue monthly limited series prequel comic called Batman Gotham Knights Gilded City. Why is this cool? Well, it's because each issue of the prequel comic will include a Gotham Knights video game code that will give you an in-game item. Along with that, if you buy the debut issue of this comic, you'll be given an exclusive Batcycle skin that'll be available when Gotham Knights launches on October 25th. However, if you also buy every single issue and redeem every single code from this limited run, you will be given a special 7th item for Gotham Knights. This, to me, is such a creative idea. Think about it. DC is trying to essentially promote Gotham Knights to more people through comics, while also promoting comics to people who are interested in Gotham Knights but don't read comics. It's a win-win situation. You're rewarding two different audiences at the same time and also strengthening the story of Gotham Knights before it even comes out, considering this is a prequel comic that'll likely be called back to in the game. And even if people aren't interested enough to read the story, you're at least getting people to buy into Gotham Knights already by also attaching in-game item codes to these comics. So no matter what, there's still a level of interest that will come with this storyline, assuming each item is possibly related to moments in each monthly issue. And if you ask me, that's actually kind of a neat idea, and because of my interest in Gotham Knights, I'll probably do whatever I can to collect this full run. Who knows, maybe I'll make videos in the future doing an overview of each issue for those that aren't interested enough in buying these comics, but want to know the overall story before heading into Gotham Knights. One final but absurd detail that was revealed about Gotham Knights, which this really isn't news, but this is something that's still ridiculously interesting that I thought people might care about, is that Gotham Knights is like 4 games in one. Here's what WB Games Montreal's narrative director had to say about Gotham Knights. Every character gets custom lines per level per cinematic, and they each get a character arc with multiple cinematics in it. It was a lot of writing, but because we wanted that to be a part of the experience, and because gameplay and animation were doing the same thing on their side with unique animation sets and unique gameplay per character, you had to rise to the occasion. It's 4 games in one. Now, before we get too excited about this detail, let's look at this from a realistic lens. The whole idea that Gotham Knights has enough content in it for it to generate different lines or cutscenes for every character is cool. It shows that a lot of effort and thought were put into the game, and honestly, there's probably far more thought being put into this game than most of us think. However, my main curiosity is whether or not this will genuinely create enough reason for us to do multiple playthroughs where we main different characters to see different cinematics. I highly doubt that the overall story changes much. If anything, I'm simply going to assume that the story is strictly straightforward with no real changes happening no matter what you do in different playthroughs. And if I'm right about that, I hope there's some guide that kind of makes our lives a little easier if we want to do multiple playthroughs to see different cutscenes, unless, you know, this game also has missions where we have to make critical decisions in the moment that we can't go back on that obviously affect the outcome of a cinematic cutscene, which makes it a little easier to remember, oh, I did this, let me do that instead to see what happens. For what it's worth though, I think this is something that likely won't be appreciated until people have played the game multiple times and the dust has finally settled on Gotham Knights. That's it though. That was 5 new, fairly important, if not interesting announcements that were made about Gotham Knights throughout San Diego Comic-Con. After my last 2 Gotham Knights videos, which did way better than I ever expected, I felt like it was only right to make another video for this unintentional but ongoing series on my channel. If you're interested in more Gotham Knights news breakdowns, reactions, shorts, and more, you'll be able to find all of that in my brand new playlist on my channel. Don't forget to continue stepping into the night.